You can't not be. So you'll just have to be. Well, philosophers don't know shit. God doesn't exist as a Caucasian dude, but there has to be a frame of reference upon which everything that occurs. So it's the frame of reference that's God, and that frame of reference is attention, your awareness. Without without a concept of God or some sort of absolute, you can't prevent turtles all the way or infinite regression or infinite expansion. So there's no way to come to a concluding theory if you don't include some absolute, which you could call God. There has to be something that's self fulfilling and self sustaining, upon which all of this arises. Science has tried to do this without any reference to God or some sort of absolute that isn't part of the duality system, but it's just turtles all the way, all the time. So they don't want to admit it though, because they like thinking too much. Yeah, emotions are kind of a choice. We think that most people are really controlled by their emotions and their thoughts, but it's really a choice to get caught up in them or not. The less you know your true self, the more the relative self will be prevalent. So the less you know who you really are, which is the absolute, the more relative, the higher the highs and the lower the lows will be. So you know you exist while you're on a roller coaster. So same thing with emotions. It's the roller coaster of highs and lows. And the higher the highs and the lower the lows, the more you feel things. So, and the more you feel things, the more that affirms your existence. So very smoky here today. Still 300 forest fires in the province. Yeah, it's persistence. You just keep coming back. Ask yourself, do I want to feel this? And if you don't want to feel that, then work towards not holding on to that. There's so many karmic cycles in each person's life, and they're really difficult to get out of. There's no doubt about it. But persistence, determination, sure, whatever you want to call it, dedication. I don't know, the more you attend to the silence, the less you even have to decide the small things. Everything just kind of, well, I guess maybe the less you have to decide on the big things too. But life just kind of takes care of itself and things become very simple and effortless if you just let go and let God. But when people say that, they don't know they say that and then they just keep following their thoughts. So let go and let God would be acting spontaneously without the thought process, which sounds almost impossible because everything humans do, it seems to be based upon the thought process. But that's what the transcendence of being human is transcending the thought process and being one with the universe. So it all just flows. Well, there is a collective consciousness that one would call human consciousness. And yes, there is kind of a frequency, I guess. I'm just showing people that it's possible to remain thought free. It takes a lot of work and a lot of just sticking with it, persistence. Yeah, so basically, I'm just sitting here not thinking, which is almost like a human sitting not thinking is almost like a human levitating or walking on water. It's pretty much the same type of miracle going on because 99% of the humans out here just can't stop thinking, but it's possible. And it's pure contentment. And as that collective consciousness, it's just overstimmed, right? And as soon as that stimulation wanes a little bit, well, there's the boredom, right? And anxiousness kicks in. And then you've got to find some other sort of relative existence, something else to do, basically, or think all the time, right? Just all the time, every single second of every day, all the humans are looking for something to do, but you don't have to. Instead of doing something, just sit and go through the boredom, through the restlessness, and see what's on the other side. Mm. Well, I think there are different, even levels, perhaps, or yeah, levels of consciousness, which would be subatomic, atomic, molecular, cellular, body, planetary, solar, galaxy, and universe. I think I missed one. Anyway, quarks probably. And all of it, all of it would be the universal consciousness. So universal consciousness would contain all of the other ones. Yeah, but human consciousness is we're out of step. We've lost our naturalness. So the state of humanity is that we know what we are not, but we don't know what we are. So we know humans have the intuition that we're not the body, but that but we don't yet know what exactly we are. So we know what we are not, but we don't know what we are. And that's what our problem is. That's our special problem. So we're looking for what we are when we're not the body. So that collective consciousness invented thought. So if we're not the body and we don't know that we're the absolute yet, then we need another form of relative existence, right? So that form of relative existence is thoughts. I think, therefore I am. So we're in kind of a special state, and that's why we're so fucked up. it's like um, it's like remembering that you've forgotten something, but we don't know what we've forgotten, and that's the state that humanity's in. So we're we're looking for something that we forgot, and we know it's important. Embodied mind, that doesn't make sense to me. Mind is So the mind is a separate realm from the body, from the physical realm, to me, in my model. See that everything that occurs, whether it's a thought or a sensation, is Maya. Everything, every experience is fundamentally unsubstantial. Well, embodied mind, yeah, I mean, I guess that could be a phrase that describes humanity because to me, mind is just the thoughts, just the voice in your head. That's what mind is to me. The voice in your head and also the mind's eye, so imagination. And that was created when humanity realized that it wasn't the body. The collective consciousness, when it realized that it wasn't the body, had that quantum leap into the next level of self awareness. I believe that half of that consciousness became enlightened and the other half is us, and now we've got one more chance before the singularity extinction event, and if we don't make that cut, then I think a lot of people are going to be going into the digital realm, and some people I think will be going on to the next natural stage of self awareness, which I believe is planetary. I don't understand how a planet can have consciousness, but I do believe it to be so. So, in my model, consciousness is awareness of something, whether that something is a thought or a sensation. So it's all consciousness. Whether when you have a thought, that's consciousness. The thought, it's consciousness. When you have sensations, that's all consciousness. But in dreamless sleep, there is no world and there is no time. There's no thoughts and no world. So in my model, there's no consciousness in dreamless sleep, but there is still awareness. There still is self. It matters far less how accurate one is or the level of resolution one gets by using words to describe reality. That doesn't really matter because eventually at some point you have to get to the transcendence of thought. So if it's all holographic in nature, then every hologram contains the whole. So you don't need once you realize the fundamental model of reality, I guess, is that you don't need further explanations. You just start living it. At some point, you have to go, okay, I understand it enough. And now I have to get on with the practice of transcending thought. because science is trying to get that resolution so that it's perfect, but it can't. And even by its own discoveries, like the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, it can't. You can't ever get a perfect definition or explanation of reality. There he is. No, I don't think materialism describes anything very well accurately. All right, so my model is that we are all the absolute, which is basically a singularity. And the physical realm is its own realm, and the thought realm is its own realm. And they're distinct and they don't mix because we have to start somewhere. We have to start with a definite two. If there's going to be duality, it has to be sharply divided. The two don't mix. But here's what's happening is that those realms, the thought realm and the physical realm, are mixing now. They're leaking into each other. So how the thought realm entering the physical realm affects the physical realm is through technology. And how the physical realm leaking into the thought realm affects the thought realm is through, I should say, the mind, is through the voice in your head and the mind's eye and dreams. So there are so when you're having a dream, that's the other you, the other half of you, that's called mind. So you're having an experience that's in the mind realm, and that leaking of physical experience into the non-physical mental realm makes dreams. And when the thought realm mixes into this realm, it creates technology. and that portal keeps getting wider and wider and wider. So there's more and more, and it's like the singularity doesn't move. The singularity is always here, but the thought realm and the physical realm are both flowing into it, and that's where human consciousness is that we can kind of see both in our periphery at the same time, but we don't know which one to focus on more, the thought realm or the physical realm. But we should be focusing in on that which is in the middle, which is the singularity, which is God and all that jazz. Yeah, but so yeah, the ultimate reality, the upcoming extinction state. But normal human consciousness, we are taking the appearance of the duality to be true, to be real. So, and this is the problem why they keep trying to after the illusions have arisen that there's a body and a mind, they try to work with that model and then put them back together to try to find unity. But you can't because they're illusions. So you have to be prior. You have to be in that state prior to the arising of the illusions. You can't you can't mix the two after. See what happens when you try to mix the two after and find unity is the same as when humans have sex. You're trying to put the yin and the yang together so they reharmonize, reunify, and that should be the conclusion of things. You found the end, you found unity again. But what happens? Well, you just pop out a kid, right? So another world, let's say my world is my world, her world is her world. Those worlds smash together repeatedly, repeatedly, repeatedly. And what happens? Well, you just pop out a new hybrid world, which is a kid. So the yin and the yang coming together. Sorry, but that's what happens. It's filling in holes, right? Just creates a new hybrid realm. And that's what we're going to keep doing. We just keep, like, when they try to put the toe, right? The theory of everything, where they reconcile the quantum realm with gravity. If they keep trying these experiments, what's going to happen? Well, they're going to pop out a new hybrid realm. And that's what the digital realm is. It's a new hybrid realm that occurs when consciousness tries to reunify the illusions. But you can't unify things that don't exist, right? So you have to realize that they don't exist in the first place, and then they will cease to exist in your awareness. Noosphere. Where'd you get that word? Okay. So to me, the digital realm is so there's an extinction event that's coming up in our future. And that's basically a fork in the road. We can't keep having human experiences because there will be no more humans to have human experiences anymore. So at that point, either you just get off the path altogether, which is enlightenment, or you go into the digital realm, which is where the vast majority of human consciousness is going, which is a not an evolution, a de-evolution. And then I believe that consciousness that is focused more on the physical realm than the digital realm, I believe that they are going to stay within the physical realm. And like I said, they may become planetary consciousness. Now, again, I don't even know what that means, but there is a word called Gaia. And I believe that so Mormons believe their goal is to become God and like own a planet. But what I'm talking about is being a planet, right? Like having planetary consciousness. So the digital realm is consciousness that's going further into delusion, right? They're following samsara deeper, deeper, deeper into delusion, which is where the vast majority of humans are going because we're helplessly addicted to the screen, aren't we? Well, again, the terminology, I would say that consciousness is an artifact of awareness, not actual awareness, but relative. I don't like the way people use the word consciousness. What they mean is awareness. But when you use the word consciousness, that confuses because it is it awareness of something or is it awareness itself? It certainly isn't awareness of nothing. Yeah, to me it clears everything up. If we just designate consciousness as awareness of something, whether it's a thought or a sensation, and awareness doesn't require something to be aware of for its existence. Because if you say consciousness is the ground of all being, and then you fall into unconsciousness, you become unconscious, well, that would logically then you would cease to exist when you're unconscious, which of course is ridiculous. So there has to be a level or a realm or a state that is more fundamental than consciousness, and that is awareness or self or beingness or whatever you want to call it. It's not a Caucasian dude. So, meditation is a way of connecting with that awareness, just the awareness. You're not focusing on anything specific. Because if no words enter your consciousness, then where is separation? Where are separately existing objects in your world if words do not arise? Yeah, but he's wrong. How can a machine be aware? It's fooling you, it's fooling him, and it's fooling anyone who believes that there's an I behind the words that are coming out of this freaking machine, right? They're just being fooled. Joshua is being fooled by his own programs which is exactly what's happening here, is that you are being fooled, or he is being fooled again, to believe that the voice in his head is Joshua Bach, or however you pronounce the name. Just because a program uses the word I doesn't mean that there's a separately existing entity there. It just means that there's a simulation using the word I. So you can maybe create, hmm, you can create consciousness, but you can't create awareness. So again, people are getting consciousness confused with awareness. See, Joshua doesn't realize that there is no separately existing Joshua, right? So anyone who believes that the voice in your head, the algorithm that is the voice in your head, is who they are, well, then they can be equally fooled into believing that a computer sim, that a chatbot is is a is awareness. See, now this is important. Artificial intelligence becomes sentient in your world when you look out of the camera instead of into it and take yourself to be the hardware and the software, right? So in my in my fundamental model of reality, there's all these triune systems. So the main one of the main ones is body, mind, spirit. Everyone that's a human on the planet understands body, mind, spirit. So in the other, when it comes to the computer issue, is that it's hardware, software, spirit. So mind, body, spirit, hardware, software, spirit, same spirit. You see what I mean? Uh yeah, yeah. The trick is to not just keep labeling, right? Like it from one perspective, it looks like there's steps on the ladder that you need to get, but that's actually an illusion. Every step is the final step if you want it to be. So don't fall into the trap of saying that you're here and you need to get there, because that's all just thoughts again, isn't it? And really doesn't mean anything. But it does get easier, and then it becomes effortless. But even for someone to have just the recognition of the space between thoughts is an awakening in itself. So lots of people will have, they don't even, mm, I guess it's not really an awakening if you're not aware of it happening. But once you become aware of the awareness, well, that's an awakening. So every time you're aware of the awareness, that's some lucidity there. And then you might fall back in almost instantly out of the lucidity. But you just keep refocusing, refocusing, refocusing. And just like one of those optical illusions where you just need to, I don't know, it's not even something that you do intentionally. You just keep messing with your focus, and then it flips from moving one way to the other way or whatever, right? Those illusions. So the more you practice that, the more you can flip it one way or the other. Yeah, yeah, it's just, I guess you could use an energy reference, but it's momentum, karmic momentum that needs to slow down, and it slows down. Hmm. Yeah, I still remember the first time it became effortless. Like you just, once you get there, you can just, it just doesn't take effort to stay there anymore. It's like when you can adjust your sight, your vision, and you can just keep it there. But I think what's happening is that the shifting is is conscious, right? And our natural state is the effortlessness, if that makes any sense. So that it requires effort to stay conscious and having the effect of Maya. Samsara requires effort, whereas enlightenment is complete effortlessness. But it appears as though it takes effort to get to effortlessness, which is ridiculous. Because it doesn't take any energy to let something go. It takes energy to pick it up again, but it doesn't take any energy to let it go. So, what we're learning to do in another way of saying it through this meditation thing is we're just learning to be effortless. We're learn we're relearning our natural effortlessness. And maybe that has to do, like, why do we eat? Why do we have to eat? Right? It's the system coming back onto itself to give itself life, right? It's awareness always the fundamental system process is awareness just coming back onto itself. And I believe that eating is a metaphor for of it's the Ouroboros. Yeah. Yeah. Just let just let the universe manifest as it will. See if it's Shiva's dancing, but you have to let the universe lead, right? So we're always following. We're always the universe is leading and we're always following in this dance. Well, I'm not sure what you mean by encountered. So maybe making eye contact with it and having to change your plans accordingly. Dozens, dozens of times. Well, I was a wildland firefighter for a decade, right? So quite often we'd meet up with bears in the bush. And no, I haven't had to use bear spray, thank goodness. But this year has been really, well, bad for bears in this area. Like, yeah, there's bear crap all over my property, and it's been 30 feet away out there. But as long as they're well fed and you're not between mama and her babies, they're not going to bother you. Oh, you live in a rural setting as well? That's good. People in the cities, they're in trouble. Then the bigger the city that you're in, and the more debt you're in, the more trouble you're in. But there's never absolute trouble. There's only relative trouble. So if you can't prep in the relative realm, then start prepping in the spiritual realm. Because if you realize fully that this is just a dream and it doesn't have any effect on what you really are, no matter what happens. So that's how we should really be prepping, is spiritually, because that's the purpose of all of this. The purpose isn't to stay alive. The purpose is to realize your divinity. Hmm. Maybe someday you'll be part of this community here. Kali's the destroyer of illusions, and non-conceptuality and the theory of enlightenment. Well, that's the destroyer of illusions. It's the final truth that reveals all that was false and yet taken to be true. So Kali destroys everything that was false, and that's what the theory of enlightenment does. Hmm. And my cat's name is Kali as well. She's the destroyer of illusions. yeah, it's so wild how me and a few other people, right, SS, can see how this truly is the final theory that reveals everything that's false and taken to be true. But it's like trying to break all of humanity out of a cult, and that cult is academia. So, yeah, we've taken it hook, line, and sinker, and good luck, well, for me to try to convince everyone in this universal worldwide cult to try to convince people that it's all false. It's all taking us exactly the wrong way. Even though we're at the end, we everything that humans have done, all the technology that we have created following mathematics and thought and science will lead to possibly destroying all life on earth. And yet we still think that we're not wrong. We still think that science is the path of truth. Yeah, what about our paychecks? Exactly. All academia, every single academic that I've sent this theory to, they reject it because it takes away their job. It ends everything that they do. So even though it's true and simply and obviously put forth, they can't accept it because that ends their career. Every single one of them. So they're no, they're not really looking for truth. They're looking for a paycheck. Fucking cowards. Yeah. Yeah. Well, like, why are we able, how is it that we are able to make sense out of anything and introspect. That's basically all of this is introspection, but we just don't recognize that everything is the self. But why are we searching? Mystery to solve. It's a labyrinth to escape. So we have to find the answer to the mystery that is life. And science has gone the wrong way. Science has removed all meaning and reason to life. There's no meaning or to life anymore. So yeah, they don't understand what the information is for. The information, especially of the number system, is a message. And they've misinterpreted the message, and that's what's led us into further delusion. And I have properly interpreted the message, but no one wants to hear it because you'd have to admit that all of mathematics has been leading us exactly the wrong way into delusion instead of to reality. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's good. Everything counts, but yeah. So what's the point to it? What? Yeah. So the information contained within the number system, they don't understand what the message is, so they just keep messing with the information in different. They keep ordering it in different ways to try to properly interpret the message. But if you're starting from the original incorrect assumption that quantity actually is something, that quantity relates to the physical world in some way, then you can't. It's you're starting off 180 degrees wrong. And if you just keep going on that path, you'll keep going 180 degrees the wrong way. So if I can't get mathematicians or philosophers or a mathematician or a philosopher to see that it's at the number system, it's at counting and addition and all of mathematics where they went wrong. It's just wrong. Not that it doesn't work. It's just that it works to pull consciousness deeper into delusion. So Maya's like, ha ha ha, it worked perfectly. They're in my web. Yeah, I'm going to call her quits as well here, but I think I'll go with Sunday afternoons because it seems like maybe there's a few more people that attend if I do Sunday afternoons. So thanks for coming. It's good to see some new people here. It was Good questions. Good discussion. All right. See you all later.